Rin from Hallowed Be Thy Game, and today I'm going to share with you my thoughts on NieR Replicant version 1.22. Let's check it out. Great Googa Mooga, have I had the month of NieR, and it has been fantastic, yet utterly depressing. But in a good way, because I'm going to be honest, the story to NieR Replicant slaps, and it slaps those feels right out of my body. I want to go ahead and state, I'm not going to have any spoilers in this video outside of what you can see on the cover and just general plot direction for the game, but no details in depth that I would consider spoiler territory. You play as an unnamed protagonist, NieR. You're trying to take care of your younger sister who's sick. The feels are pretty high with this one. It is very stressful at times, especially as a father. You know, you see kids suffering and you're really wanting to help out. This game plays on a lot of perception and emotions and how we view characters and someone's heart and soul. It's a wonderful, beautiful story, and along the journey, you meet some of the best written characters in all of gaming, and the voice acting for this game is top notch. This is a clinic for line delivery. The voice acting for the main character is spot on, very emotional, heartfelt. Kaine, the foul-mouthed hussy that she is, gosh, she's fantastic. Excellent job. It's very difficult to swear in a game, and this is a good time to mention this is not a game for younger players. I'm just going to be right out front. But Kaine can definitely give the swearing line delivery with the best of sailors. It's excellent and jaw-dropping at times, if I'm going to be honest. And Knights of Columbus does Grimoire Vice steal the show at times. I'm going to be honest, his interactions and banter with Kaine oftentimes just steal whatever show is going on screen. Excellent job. And I do want to say Emil is probably one of my favorite characters in gaming. Very heartfelt performance. There was just times, if I was crying in this game, Emil was probably on screen. An extremely passionate performance from Emil. There's a lot of emotion that we can kind of feel with characters. I would say the voice actors are essentially a conductor that just lead us on a parade of every spectrum of feeling you can have. There was times I was cracking up in this game. There was times I was physically angry about what was happening on screen. And then honestly, there was times I had to bust out the tissues because when this game hits, it hits hard. Is it more emotionally depressing than Automata? Gosh, I don't know. That's a video in all its own right, but I do want to say both of these games are excellent, and NieR Replicant is just a case study for how to tell an emotionally devastating story. Wonderful performance. I do want to say a few things, though, about the story and when you're playing it, because this is definitely a Yoko Taro game. He's a genius, but I will say that the subsequent playthroughs in this game are not as masterfully handled as they are in Automata, because when you're playing NieR, you're heavily encouraged to beat it at least 3 times. I say 3 times, and for people who know this game, you can kind of save scum your way into having to skip out on an entire 4th run of the game. However, the first time you play this game, you have a full experience. The second time you play it, you start about halfway through and you play to the end again. Then you're expected to start a 3rd playthrough and play again to the end. I won't go into further details because I don't want to give away any spoilers, but I will state that in between the 2nd and 3rd playthrough, I was feeling a little repetitive. If you're curious, I did get endings A through E. I'll leave it at that. And the additional story content that's added with version 1.22, I was gripped. I saw a lot of mixed emotions on some of the forums I was perusing, just kind of get a general feel of how the community received this. I love the new ending. I thought it was excellent. I thought it hit really hard. Big kudos to Yoko Taro. And this is definitely a joy to experience. And if you've played NieR Automata and you're not sure about this, there are aspects of this game that still feel like it's back in 2010. And I said it in my tips and tricks video, but I do want to restate it here if you haven't seen that. This game control you pretty hard sometimes with the side quest design. There's a lot of running back and forth. You can alleviate those problems by unlocking mounts in the games with boars and such like that. But I'm going to be honest, there was a couple quests you're running back and forth, and then in one case in particular, Quest Giver just gives you a middle finger. You don't get any rewards for it. And I'm like, this is definitely an old school JRPG thing to do. I love this. However, if you are kind of new to JRPGs or you haven't played NieR Automata yet, I would just be aware some of the side quests can dunk on you pretty hard. I'll just leave it at that. However, in the sense of combat, Platinum coming through and polishing this sucker up. I've seen some footage of the original NieR Gestalt and NieR Replicant Japanese version of the game, and Platinum's come in and given that shine to the combat because it's excellent. There's sections of the game where you get those genre mashups. My favorite in particular is a Diablo-esque dungeon crawler aspect, a gameplay. It doesn't last very long in the game, but I had a friggin' blast with it. But you kind of see the platforming, side-scrolling sections and such like that. You get your traditional third-person JRPG. You get a little bit of bullet hell dodging going on. It's excellent. I loved it. I had a blast with it. And to be honest, in some aspects, I enjoyed it better than NieR Automata. So I think there's a lot of enjoyment to be had here, despite some of the more archaic designs to side questing that didn't really receive a touch-up on it. But the combat's spot on. It's responsive. I had a blast with the active parry mechanic and the dodging, the different weapon loadouts. It was a lot of fun. I personally... I think I completed about 94% of the side quests, so they weren't enough to troll me away from stopping it. And the only reason I get that last percent is I beat the game, and I just haven't gone back and finished out the percent. But it was very enjoyable, and I will say this, even though the side quests can be trolly in their design, the stories that are told are more than enough to carry you through, because there are just a lot of moments in the side questing that just dropped my jaw. They're emotionally engaging, they're fascinating, and honestly, they can be their own little side tales sometimes that just had me hooked, and I didn't care about the reward. I just needed to see what happened. That can be hard to do in a big JRPG side quest, and kudos to NieR Replicant. Even back then, it pulled it off. I mean, some of these side quests, especially a big shout out to the Lighthouse quest line with the lady in the lighthouse. And also there's a quest with two brothers in the starter village. Those just really hit me in the feels. I loved them, and I highly recommend anybody who plays these. If you want, watch my tips and tricks video. I listed them and just a list of side quests that you need to do just to experience these heartfelt stories. I loved them, and I cannot sing Yoko Taro's praises enough in that regard. I do think in some aspects, though, NieR Replicant is one of my favorite games I've experienced for its cast of characters. I think this game alone is worth experiencing for the story because it tells a very mature story, and there's a lot of mature, dark themes that are explored in this, but there's a lot of brave aspects that are taken with character development and world building that I feel deserve a place in video game history, at least in my heart. I have played Drakengard 1 and NieR Automata, and now NieR Replicant. I haven't played Drakengard 3. I would love to play that, but I don't have access to a PS3 right now. That's a story for another day. For people who are just a fan of story and gameplay is kind of a secondary thing to them, it's hard to top NieR Replicant and the NieR series in general for just the amount of passion and dedication and fear. I mean, a fierce dedication to the story vision that Yoko Taro has. The music in this game is stellar. A lot of people would not consider it to be in the same league as NieR Automata. I'm not really going to get into that. I will say this, though. There's a couple tracks in particular that are some of my favorite in gaming now, particularly Kaine's Salvation and Song of the Ancients, especially. I think they are just beautifully composed. I believe it was Song of the Ancients. Anyways, they're just incredibly heartfelt moments, and when you couple that with the scene setup and the story setup and the execution of these quality, top-notch voice actors, their re-recorded performances were just phenomenal. And the main characters edition with this version was just excellent. And to just kind of wrap up my thoughts here, I had a wonderful experience with this game. I was very sad it was over. I'm definitely looking forward to coming back to this and Automata in the future. I'm hoping that we can see some maybe more ports and remasters of maybe the Drakengard games, but you know, that's a discussion for a future date. While the combat and gameplay progression of Replicant is inherently simpler than Automata, I feel it definitely does what it sets out to do. It was a joy to play. I highly recommend it to any fans of the JRPG genre. But I want to know, how about you? Have you played NieR Replicant? Have you also played NieR Automata? Which one do you prefer? Let me know down in the comments. I definitely can't wait to check them out. Like this video if you liked it. Thank you all so much for subscribing. The support for the channel has been humbling and a joy to experience, and I'll see you all next time.
Anyway, take it easy, yeah?